Hello everyone, and welcome to the playoff edition of the Wilkes Journal-Patriot's High School Football Rundown presented by Cooks and produced by RiverStreet Productions. I'm sports editor Zach Colburn, and assistant sports editor Brandon Moree will be joining us in just a second to take a closer look at this week's games. For the first time since 2012, all four Wilkes County teams qualified for the state playoffs, but on Friday night, all four teams saw their seasons come to an end. Brandon has more on those games over at the big board.
That's right, Zach. All four Wilkes County teams did make the playoffs, but unfortunately, those seasons came to an end on Friday night. Each of those teams has a lot to be proud of this season, and making the playoffs is no small task. So a great year for all Wilkes County teams. We're going to walk through those four playoff games. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of video to show you today, but we do have some highlights from the Wilkes Central game, so we're going to start there. Wilkes Central fell to Rutherford-Spindale Central 31-6. The only touchdown of the game came right there from that man, Justin Parsons. He's had a great year. He had another strong game Friday night, but it wasn't quite enough, and you can see the extra point after that play was blocked by the Hilltoppers. The man you're seeing right there fight through everybody is Tyler Simmons from the Hilltoppers. He had a great game. He scored 3 touchdowns, including that one right there and this one right here. He's going to fight through another crowd. He was tough. He was tough to take down on Friday night. He ended up with 97 yards and 3 touchdowns. Austin Dorsey actually led the Hilltoppers in yards. He had 15 carries for 159 of them. Simmons, you see there, had 17 carries for 97 yards. He also had 1 catch for 16. And Tyrese Tate had a strong game as well with 13 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown. For Wilkes Central, Justin Parsons led the way at 109 yards on 21 carries and the 1 touchdown that we saw that came in the second quarter. He finished the year with more than 2,000 yards. He just barely cracked 2,000 yards, got that late in the game on Friday night. And it came to Wyatt, completed 5 passes, all of which went to Josiah Ferguson for 52 yards. Okay, there was one other game in Wilkes County on Friday night, and that was East Wilkes and Walkertown. We're going to take a look at the stats. Like I said, we don't have a lot of video to show you. We're sorry about that. We will have some more video in the coming weeks when we start to move into basketball season. But taking a look at the stats, Walkertown had a big game, and it was Kendrick Campbell who did it with Denzel Hayes. Campbell went 9 for 12 for 197 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also had 6 carries for 20 yards. And Denzel Hayes caught 7 of those 9 completions for 178 yards, and he caught 2 of those touchdown passes. For the Cardinals, it was Bryce Vestal going 7 for 17 for 149 yards and a touchdown. He also had 9 carries for 35 yards and a rushing score. Mason Hartley saw some more action in the backfield. He had a team high 14 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown. And Jared Wood had 3 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown as the Cardinals saw their season come to an end. You see there they were tied through 3 quarters, and Walkertown pulled away in the 4th to take that 42-21 win. East Wilkes season ends at 8-4 and 5-2. Okay, on the road, North Wilkes traveled to North Rowan on Friday night, and the Cavaliers' defensive line was just too much for the Vikings. They also had some injuries that on the offensive line for North Wilkes that kind of made running the ball a little bit more difficult. Jarrett Grimes still went over 100 yards like he has basically every time this season. He's finished a great year. He'll be back next year for his senior year. Looking forward to what he can do in his final season for the Vikings. But he had 35 carries for 129 yards on Friday night. Gavin Huffman had a couple of carries, 17 yards, and Daniel Pruitt and Cedric White both had 1 carry for 6 yards for the Vikings. Corbin Smith was the guy that we said to keep an eye on Friday in our preview show. He had a big game for North Rowan. He went 14 for 22 for 309 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. The Vikings did pick him off 3 times, but they couldn't turn any of those turnovers into points. He also scored on the ground, 1 of his 5 carries for 5 yards. DeAndre and Desmond Gray both had phenomenal games at receiver for the Cavaliers. DeAndre had 3 catches for 114 yards and a touchdown, while Desmond had 4 catches for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. Okay, the closest game of the night for Wilkes County School took place at Eastern Randolph. West Wilkes was down 42-10 at halftime. Things did not look good, but they came fighting back in the second half. They threw a touchdown pass from Trenton Walsh to Cole Smith with about 14 seconds left. That cut the score to 49-41. West Wilkes kicked the onside kick and recovered it. They had 2 shots at a Hail Mary, but both of those were batted away by the Wildcats. So Eastern Randolph moves on. They'll play Lincolnton in the second round, but it was a great comeback from West Wilkes. Alex Ortiz had a lot to do with that. He ran for 275 yards on 26 carries and 3 touchdowns. All 3 of those touchdowns came in the second half. He also had a big interception in the third quarter in the end zone to help keep his team in it. Trenton Walsh went 6 for 19 for 94 yards and a touchdown. He also had 8 carries for 29 yards. And Noah Dancy had another 100-yard game for the Blackhawks as he had 23 carries for 127 yards. In our previous show on Friday, we said Tyrese Austin was the man to keep an eye on, and he was certainly tough on Friday night. He scored all 7 of Easton Randolph's touchdowns as he went 14 for 22 through the air for 241 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he had 11 carries for 82 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Okay, that hits all of the stats for this week's games. Tough to see the season end for Wilkes County teams. After a great regular season, they finished in the top 4 spots in the Mountain Valley Athletic Conference. A lot to be proud of, like we said. We don't have a play of the week this week, unfortunately, just because we really don't have a lot of highlights to work with, so we're sorry about that. But we're looking forward to basketball season now, and we'll certainly have some more excellent highlight action to bring you then. All right, Zach, send us on.
Thanks, Brandon. We're going to be taking a week off to get ourselves prepared for basketball season. But in the meantime, go ahead and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at WJP_sports. And while you're at it, like us on Facebook. This has been the playoff edition of the Wilkes Journal-Patriots High School Football Rundown presented by Cooks. Thank you for watching.